Hi everybody, it's Jilly. It's Thursday, so that means it's time for Teacher Read Aloud. Let's do a nice big deep book breath. Breathe in, open your book. Breathe in, turn the page. Today at our school, it's wear all your favorite clothes day. So I'm wearing my favorite blue shirt, my favorite bird necklace. I'm sitting in my favorite flowered chair. And I'm going to start with one of the Sprouts' favorite books. It's called I'd Really Like to Eat a Child by Sylvian Donio. Every morning, Mama Crocodile would bring tasty bananas to little Achilles for his breakfast. And each time she said in wonder, "What a big boy you're getting to be, my son, and how handsome! And what beautiful teeth you have." "True," Achilles would say to himself. We love this book so much it's kind of falling apart. But one morning, Achilles refused to eat. This worried Mama Crocodile. "Don't you want a tasty banana for breakfast?" she asked. "No thanks, Mom," Achilles answered. "Today I'd really like to eat a child." "What an idea, my little Achilles," his mother cried. "Well, children don't grow on banana trees, only bananas do, and that's what I have for breakfast." "I know, but I'd really like to eat a child." Boys and girls, look at his face. He has down eyebrows and his arms are crossed. Can you try doing that? Cross your arms and put your eyebrows down. How do you feel? Kind of grouchy, right? Papa Crocodile had an idea. He ran to the village and brought back a sausage as long as a truck for his son. "No thanks, Dad," Achilles answered. "Today I'd really like to eat a child." "Come now, Achilles, there's no such thing as a sausage made from children." "I don't care," snapped Achilles. "I want to eat a child." Look at that, boys and girls. Still has down eyebrows, still has those arms crossed. Luckily, Mama and Papa Crocodile were clever. "Our Achilles has a sweet tooth," they said. "Let's make him a big, yummy chocolate cake. Then he'll totally forget this silly idea." And that's just what they did. The cake was magnificent. "Wow!" Achilles shouted when he saw it. He picked out a great big piece, but then he sighed and changed his mind. "Nope," he said. "Today I'd really like to eat a child." Mama and Papa Crocodile were beside themselves. That means they're super sad. They cried and moaned, "Boo hoo hoo! What will we do? Our dear Achilles won't eat." Achilles was beginning to feel strange and rather weak all over, which is exactly what happens when you haven't eaten your breakfast. A nice swim would do me good, he thought, so he walked down to the river. There, on the riverbank, was a little girl playing by herself. "Yippee! Finally, I'm going to get to eat a child," Achilles whispered to himself. He crept up slowly and bared his beautiful teeth like a ferocious beast ready to pounce. "Oh, look at that!" the little girl cried. "A teeny tiny crocodile. He's awfully cute and so scrawny. He must not eat very much." And look, the illustrator wrote "Rawr," very small, because Achilles is so small. As quick as a wink, the little girl caught Achilles by the tail and tickled his belly. "Coochie coochie coo!" Then, when she'd had enough, she threw him into the river. Splunk! Achilles emerged from the river, hungrier than ever. Darn, I blew it, he said, and he ran all the way home shouting, Daddy, Mommy, quick! Give me some bananas. I have to grow bigger. Big enough to eat a child. The end. The next book I have, boys and girls, was my children's favorite when they were in preschool. It's called Caps for Sale by Esfer Slobodkina. This one's also very well loved and kind of falling apart. Once there was a peddler who sold caps, but he was not like an ordinary peddler carrying his wares on his back. He carried them on top of his head. First, he had on his own checked cap, then a bunch of gray caps, then a bunch of brown caps, then a bunch of blue caps, and on the very top, a bunch of red caps. A peddler, boys and girls, is somebody who sells things by going house to house or walking around. There he is. He walked up and down the streets, holding himself very straight so as not to upset his caps. As he went along, he called, Caps, caps for sale, 50 cents a cap. One morning, he couldn't sell any caps. He walked up the street and he walked down the street, calling, Caps, caps for sale, 50 cents a cap. But nobody wanted any caps that morning. Nobody wanted even a red cap. He began to feel very hungry, but he had no money for lunch. I think I'll go for a walk in the country, said he, and he walked out of town, slowly, slowly, so as not to upset his caps. Have you ever tried to walk with something on your head? You have to walk slowly and very straight. He walked for a long time until he came to a great big tree. That's a nice place for a rest, thought he, and he sat down very slowly under the tree and leaned back little by little against the tree trunk so as not to disturb the caps on his head. Then he put up his hand to feel if they were straight. First, his own checked cap, then the gray caps, then the brown caps, then the blue caps, then the red caps on the very top. They were all there, so he went to sleep. He slept for a long time. When he woke up, he was refreshed and rested. Oh boy, do you notice anything missing in the picture? But before standing up, he felt with his hand to make sure his caps were in the right place. All he felt was his own checked cap. He looked to the right of him. No caps. He looked to the left of him. No caps. He looked in back of him. No caps. He looked behind the tree. No caps. Then he looked up into the tree, and what do you think he saw? On every branch sat a monkey. On every monkey was a gray or a brown or a blue or a red cap. The peddler looked at the monkeys. The monkeys looked at the peddler. He didn't know what to do. Finally, he spoke to them. You monkeys, you, he said, shaking a finger at them. You give me back my caps. But the monkeys only shook their fingers back at him and said, "Tss, tss, tss." This made the peddler angry, so he shook both hands at them and said, "You monkeys, you give me back my caps." But the monkeys only shook both their hands back at him and said, "Tss, tss, tss." I imagine that the peddler has very down eyebrows right about now. Now he felt quite angry. He stamped his foot and he said, "You monkeys, you better give me back my caps." But the monkeys only stamped their feet back at him and said, "Tss, tss, tss." By this time, the peddler was really very, very angry. He stamped both his feet and shouted, "You monkeys, you must give me back my caps." But the monkeys only stamped both their feet back at him and said, "Tss, tss, tss." At last, he became so angry that he pulled off his own cap, threw it on the ground, and began to walk away. What do you think is going to happen now? But then each monkey pulled off his cap, and all the gray caps, and all the brown caps, and all the blue caps, and all the red caps came flying down out of the tree. So the peddler picked up his caps and put them back on his head. First, his own checked cap, then the gray caps, then the brown caps, then the blue caps, then the red caps on the very top. And slowly, slowly, he walked back to town, calling, "Caps, caps for sale, 50 cents a cap." The end. That was a favorite book for my kids when they were little. Now, I have one that's a rhyming book because we're still in April and it's still Poetry Month. And this one is a favorite of our friend Amy at Bethlehem Children's School. She gave us this book for the Sprouts Room. That was very kind and filled our buckets. Thanks, Amy. It's called A Hare, a Hound, and Shy Mousy Brown by Julia Hubery and Jonathan Bentley. Here we go. There's the first page. There's a hare in the air, there's a hound on the ground, and watching them both is Shy Mousy Brown, from his hole in the wall, not making a sound, so nobody knows that he's there. So there's 3 characters in this story. The hare in the air is simply astounding, singing the spring in with whirling and bounding. Ooh, spring's here too. Mousy Brown's heart goes pitter-pat pounding with love for her daring and flair. So the hare is doing lots of acrobats and the mouse thinks it's super cool. Wondrously wild and fearlessly free, she jumps for the joy of just being she. How could I hope that she'd even see me, thinks poor Mousy Brown in despair. That's a fancy word for sadness. Did you notice there's a clue, boys and girls, in our book? What is Mousy Brown holding? That's right, a feather. Keep that in your brain. The daft dizzy dancer goes laughing and leaping right up to the hound, who pretends to be sleeping. That's a clue. But Mousy Brown knows that he's secretly keeping a watch on the hoppity hare. For he knows this sly dog, he's seen him before. He'll lie there as still as a log till he's sure that the hare is in reach of his snappity jaws, then he'll snatch her right out of the air. So, danger. The dog kind of has down eyebrows. Lots of down eyebrows in our books today. How can I warn her? I'm so very small, thinks shy Mousy Brown in his hole in the wall. He takes a deep breath and he leans out and bawls in his biggest, best bellow, "Beware!" That's a fancy word for look out. But the hare doesn't hear him. She pats the hound's nose, tweaks his old tail, and tickles his toes. "Wake up, sleepy doggy, it's springtime, you knows," she whispers right into his ear. Do you think that a dog would like it if a rabbit was poking and pulling and whispering? I do not. With a leap and a snap and a swipe of his paw, the hound on the ground isn't there anymore. He's up in the air and he's boxing the hare. Oh, such a scary picture. With a thud and a thwack, she's pinned on her back and quakes at his menacing stare. Her beautiful eyes are shining with fear as he lashes a lick up her long, lovely ear. "Gosh, you'll be ever so tasty," he sneers. And Mousy Brown leaps from his lair. Clutching a feather, he hurls himself down right into the ear of the huge, hungry hound and relentlessly tickles the hound into giggles until he's wound tight in a knot with his wiggles and can't move a whisker or hair. So the mouse is tickling the dog, but the dog can't see the mouse because the mouse is in his ear. Then Mousie strides out with his feather held high. He feels like a warrior, tall as the sky. He bows to the hare with a bold twinkling eye and says, "Pleased to meet you, my dear." The mouse is a hero. "You saved me," the hare cries. "I'll love you forever. You bold mouseketeer, so fearless and clever. Come with me now, let's go dancing together. We've got a whole springtime to share." Mousy Brown and the hare make a curious pair, and when they go dancing, the neighbors all stare. The hare doesn't notice. Mousy Brown doesn't care. And they'll never be parted. So there. And look, the hare's ears make a heart. Oh, and there's the kitty tail. Boys and girls, here's my heart. I love you, I miss you, and I can't wait to see you at school soon. Bye.